what I liked about the industry specifically was there was a certain amount of certainty with the growth of the business. A lot of people like to talk about, I think it's going to go 7-8%. Well, our industry, it's probably somewhere 12 to 15% annual growth rate, really for the next 20 years, maybe even 30 years. But it's not like we're guessing at this number. We know exactly how many people are going to be 80 years old 7 years from now. And we know that because they were born 73 years ago. So it's literally a situation from an investment standpoint of it's the future that's already happened. And so I kind of like that aspect of the industry overall. I specifically like the fact that this is mostly a cash business. And a lot of people don't understand that initially, but Medicare, Medicaid, private insurance, they don't typically pay for the types of products we sell, which is actually a good thing, because that means we can set our own price points. We can sell the value of the expertise that we have. We can kind of control our own margins here. So that, you don't have a lot of kind of government red tape or intervention or groups telling you what you're going to make this year. I also kind of like the fact that it was kind of a non-trendy, non-cool business. It's not as cool as owning a bar or something where your friends, or a restaurant or something like that. It's kind of an afterthought that people don't necessarily like to think about of helping people with physical challenges or disabilities. Certain people just don't have the personality for that. So that kind of appealed to me. It's fairly consistent. There's not a lot of seasonality to this, where it ebbs and flows with the time of the year or with the economy. This is an industry and a product category that, for better or for worse, people are kind of forced to you. They're calling you because they have an issue, a challenge, a need right now. They're not calling you because they think it's cool to have a stair lift in their home or to have a wheelchair ramp or something like that out front. So you kind of get people coming to you because they don't have another option and they really need some help. And then, to kind of even layer onto that with a more recent idea that I've been thinking about is, this is something that AI cannot replace. I come from a finance and accounting background, and I see a lot of my friends who are bankers, and they're kind of getting consolidated, getting outsourced. There's a lot of things that AI is going to take over, but this is not one of them. There's a physical nature to the evaluation process and going into somebody's home, and then certainly there's a physical component to the actual installation of the products themselves. So it's not something that's about to be replaced in the near future, because it just literally can't happen. So
somebody says, hey, how's your mom going to get to bed? How's your mom going to get into the tub? How's your mom going to get to the bathroom? And they go, well, gee, I never thought about that. I better start figuring that out, because mom's coming home in 2 days, right? So we get those calls, and if we're the ones, maybe in many cases, the only ones who can actually provide that solution in that amount of time, price doesn't really matter. And response rate of I want to stay in my home as long as I can is like 90%, not surprisingly, right? Like meaningful savings when compared to, going into some sort of a living facility, but it's also just what they want. They just really don't want to have to move in. And many folks are not, at a level of disability where they need around the clock care. They just have a 2-story home and they have trouble getting up the steps. Well, that's a fairly easy solution for us.
If your problem is getting up and down your stairs, that's a straight stair lift. That's a $4,000 price tag and a half a day installation, and we can do that tomorrow.
There are people advertising stair lifts and other types of equipment on TV benefit us in the long run, because they do actually, educate people about what's available and what's out there. And I like to say that kind of spins up a lot of dust, and some of that dust settles on us.
And at the end of that conversation, he said, Gordon, you were the 5th person I've spoken with about a stair lift, and you are by far the most knowledgeable person, so I'm going to give you the business.
Our kind of business model is we're exclusively a dealer of other products, so we don't make a product. And so what that does is gives us the flexibility to bring in new ideas and new products when they emerge in the market, And, as we grow our footprint, think about it, fast forward a few years from now, we've got 50 locations of really highly qualified and capable owners, and a great new product enters the market that helps people in their homes, age in place and stay home longer. Who's in a better position to deliver a product like that to the market than we are?
And they tell you they're thinking about moving. I say, well, I can put a lift in this week and you're going to break even just from dollars and cents. You're going to break even in 1 month of what it would have cost you to live in another facility, and you don't have to move out of your home.
We were a little bit nervous, so Gordon was going to start it and I was going to stay back at my day job. And it was almost instantly that we decided we were all in. This was what we were going to do. Really strong immediately. And we could just see that this was not going to be a part-time thing or like an assistance, where I just kind of help out. It was going to be all or nothing for both of us if we really wanted to take it seriously, wanted to jump in, feet first and do it. And we weren't really looking to manage 50 high schoolers, or it was, it's a low brick and mortar, investment. You're not $300,000 into a brick and mortar building to run.
Don't need a lot of employees overall or a lot of installation help. And the reason why is we sell a very high ticket item. Our base item is, $4,000 to $5,000. That'll probably be about the average, but it can certainly go up to $20,000, $40,000, even $100,000 on the high end for a single product. So, I'm somebody who didn't own power tools when I left my desk job, and all of a sudden, 2 years later, I'm a certified elevator contractor.
You can't just be, a technician and go and be a dealer on your own. So, like, for many of the reasons that Dave mentioned, the barrier to entry is still pretty high. But as far as hiring, and then once you have a technician inside, training them, getting them certified, and taking them through the process to be where you need them to be on your team is very doable.
We've had plenty of examples where we know dealers who have customers calling them for days and days, and sometimes it drags on to another week, and they just never get a call back. So yeah, we're going to get in there first every time. So when you look at it like that, you're not competing as much with the other groups just because we're faster than they are.
We install a physical product that needs to be assessed in person. Each home is different, stairs are different, porches are different, everyone's situation is different. So until there are, robots that can do our jobs, which is, a little bit further out, that probably will happen at some point. But for now, it takes a person to go take a look and talk to the customer and ask a lot of questions about what their needs are. It takes a technician to come in a truck and unload, real physical equipment and get out tools and install. The way I do think that AI will impact our business is probably more in the way in terms of how people find us. Like a lot of people probably, I rely on, my Google browser less and my Chat GPT more for answers to questions that I have. And so I think that's an evolution of, where AI will probably impact our business, but it's really more, if you're on top of that game and you still have good search engine optimization and so on, everybody's still mostly marketing digitally,
Search or, and playing the SEO game, you need somebody to type in stair lift to wind up on your page. But now you're seeing scenarios, and we're kind of optimizing our websites where maybe somebody comes in and they don't use the right terms, but they say, what do I do when I can't get up my stairs? Like, they know they have a problem. Maybe they don't know the actual terminology to use to land on our site or anybody's site really. But when they mention a problem in the various AI chatbots and everything else out there, they're able to kind of link them up with that problem to a product that exists that meets that need. So I think it's actually going to greatly help us on the marketing side of bringing the customer to a solution much faster.
Companies that are trying to build this business around, a home-based business with a storage unit, and that just doesn't work to scale, nor is it a great customer experience. So while we want our owners to be able to say, we can put this in tomorrow. Is tomorrow soon enough for you? And that matters because
we do require active owners, and that makes a massive difference in a business. From a customer service, customer experience, when you have an active owner.
When that phone rings and you answer it and you've got a customer, that just changed your day for the good. That's somebody who needs a product right now, is probably ready to cut a check. So you need to get out there. So whatever you had on your plate for the next 3 or 4 hours might have just completely gotten pushed to the back burner, because now I'm jumping in my car, driving an hour to get to this customer's home, and hopefully, collect a deposit check.
The bread and butter product that we sell, being a straight rail stair lift, is kind of the number one product that we sell. They're typically retailing for about $4,000. Curved rail stair lifts retail for between $10,000 and $20,000, depending on the complexity. Platform lifts are in the $6,000 to $10,000 range, depending on the complexity. Ramp configurations are, we sell portable small ramps that may be as low as a few $100s, but if you're installing a modular ramp system, that's usually several $1,000s. So that's kind of, I guess, an idea around like typical, ticket would be for products that we sell.